everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you are doing good. Today's video is about 9 crops you can plant in August for fall and winter harvest. Planting dates. The instructions in the video are meant mostly for those of you living in zones 5 to 7. If you live in the warmer zones, then this video will still help you, but your planting dates will be much later. Your exact planting dates are based on your expected first frost date. Planting for a good fall and winter harvest starts 6 to 8 weeks before your first anticipated frost date. So for most of us, that planting date will fall somewhere in the month of August. Now let's talk about the 9 crops you can plant in August that I consider the base crops for planting a fall and winter garden. Number 1 in the list is brassica or cole crops. The first of the crops you can plant in August is actually whole family plants in the cole or brassica family are perfect crops you can plant in August, like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts all do very well in the fall. One very important thing to keep it in mind is that you plant all of these plants from seedlings, not seeds. Number 2 in the list is kale. All types of kale actually belong to the brassica family as well, but it is a very different beast and deserves its own spot on the list. Kale is one of the hardiest plants you can grow in the fall and winter. In fact, if you live in a zone 5B or above, you can get kale to overwinter in your garden with just the protection of a piece of heavy raw cover. The other great thing about kale planted in the fall is frost, and the freezing temperatures sweeten the kale. So number 3 is lettuce. Lettuce will be one of your most abundant crops in the fall and early winter. In fact, I love growing lettuce better in the fall than the spring. Lettuce is fairly hardy, so moderate frost and cold night time temps are really not a big deal. And the biggest difference with fall lettuce is you are not fighting the impending heat of summer, which causes tip burn and bitterness. You can start planting fall lettuce 8 weeks from your first frost. Continue planting until as close as 2 weeks. These later plantings can be used as baby greens or could be overwintered in a cold frame for extra early spring harvests. Number 4. Chinese greens. Chinese greens are next on the list of crops you can plant in August. These are also technically part of the brassica family, but again they deserve their own spot on the list. Chinese greens like pak choi and tatsui are very hardy and grow super well in the fall. The cool fall temperatures give these greens a nice flavor. Chinese greens can be planted by seed if you like 8 weeks before your first frost. For an extra early crop, you can start them indoors first and tuck them into your garden as spots start to clear out later in the fall. And the number 5 is carrots. Carrots are one of our favorite late fall and winter treats. As the temperature starts to get cold, an amazing change takes place inside your carrots. The starch in the plants turn to sugar, making winter harvested carrots sweet and delicious. These are seriously some of the best veggies you will ever eat. August is usually a pretty hot time for most of us, which means you have to give your carrots extra attention to get them germinated and off to a good start. Plan on watering the seedbed lightly once or twice per day. Number 6. Spinach. Spinach planted in the fall is an amazing plant. A little protection with a hobhouse or cold frame will give you 6 to 8 months of harvest. An August planting of spinach will give you a harvest starting in mid-October. If you cover the bed with a hobhouse or cold frame, you can continue to harvest small amounts all winter. Then, when the spring arrives, the plants will take off again and provide a great harvest until May. Start planting spinach 8 weeks before your first frost. Just like lettuce, you can continue to plant up until 2 weeks before your first frost. The later planting won't give you a harvest in the fall, but they will overwinter for an early spring harvest. Number 7. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is another super hardy plant. Treat it the same way you would spinach. Early plantings will give you fall and winter harvest. Later plantings will give you an early spring harvest if you protect the plants with a hobhouse or cold frame. All of your fall planted Swiss chard will overwinter in a cold frame. Expect the fall and winter harvest to consist mainly of small leaves. In the spring, you will get a very early harvest of traditional large Swiss chard plants. Number 8 is beets. Early plantings of beets will give you a regular harvest of roots late in the fall, and later plantings of beets will only yield the tops but still give you something different to add to your fall salads. And in order to have beetroots to harvest, you should start planting at 8 weeks before your first frost. Anything after about 6 weeks before the frost will end up only producing tasty tops. And the last one in the list is turnips. Once known only as fodder for farm animals or as peasant food, plant breeders have really improved the taste and variety of turnips. Look for tasty oriental varieties and many other smaller rooted turnips. Just like beets, you will need to get these planted early if you want to harvest roots. 8 weeks before your last frost would be perfect. Later plantings will yield only tops. Unless you live in a fairly mild winter area, don't plan on overwintering beets or turnips. They are just not hardy enough to survive the winter. So this is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and thank you for your watching. Goodbye.